Good evening, Ruchim Abayim. It's good to be back here. It's been a long time. Today was the Yortzeit of Balatanya, Zechat Tzaddik V'Kadosh Levachas Reinu Chai Elul. What? The Yom Ledet, sorry, the birthday of Balatanya. Zechat Tzaddik V'Kadosh Levachas Reinu Chai Elul. Chai, life. Now already Tet Elul. We're in the vicinity. So in the theme of the Balatanya, we'll start with an idea from the Balatanya, and we'll see what we can take out of it for ourselves for the Yamim Noraim Abayim Aleinu L'Torah. The old Jewish tale goes that there was a child who used to come every morning late to class in school, and the teachers obviously weren't happy with it. So one day his Rebbe went to him and he told him, "My dear child, what is this? Every day late? There got to be a day that you come on time once in a while. There's already a commute. There's such a thing called the Kovea Makom L'Tfilato, for example. A person should have a designated place for his prayer. We'll scheme talk if you can't sit there within 4 amot, but some people have a commute not to have a commute. That's their commute. The only kavua that they have is Mechza dami, like the Gemara says. The one day here, one day there, the next day like this, the next day like that. So the Rebbe tells him the only kviyut you have is that you're not kavua. Because I never see you. So maybe we could work something out. Tell me what's going on. Because I'm not judging you. Maybe there's a hardship in your house, maybe something. Tell me what's going on. And we can figure out a plan. That you should once in a while show up on time to school. So he says, Rebbe, I'll tell you the truth. You're right. But I'll tell you what the problem is. I'm a very forgetful person. And in the morning when I wake up, I don't remember where I put my shoes, I don't remember where I put my glasses, I don't remember where I put this, I don't remember anything. So by the time I figure out where my stuff is, and I gather everything together, and my books that I need for the yeshiva, it's late already, what should I do? So the Rebbe said, no, I knew you were a good boy and there must be a problem. Let me give you a solution. He says, you're using the same shoes that you did yesterday, right? And the same mara that you did yesterday, the same glasses that you did yesterday. So before you go to sleep, take a pen and paper, write down my shoes I left in the dining room on the floor. My glasses I left on the armoire near my bed. My this I left here. My this, in the morning you'll have a list ready. You'll get it up, you'll follow the list, tuck, tuck, tuck. You'll have everything, 1, 2, 3. The boy was so happy. Happy, I love the idea. The next day, sure enough, he comes again late to school. The Rebbe turns to him and he says, what's today? He says, don't ask.
What's the list?
I got up in the morning and your system really worked. I went, I got my shoes, I got my glasses, I got my paper. Everything according to the paper was perfect. I got it all. He said, no, so why are we late? He said, but I couldn't find myself. I was looking in the bed and I wasn't there. I couldn't find myself. That's me. It took a long time until I saw in the mirror, oh, that's me, and now I was able to come to school. This is an old Jewish tale that was used by a lot of the Baalei Musar, each one in his own way. The Slonim Rebbe used to say this over Erev Rosh Hashanah every year by the Slichot. You would think the Erev Rosh Hashanah, but this is what he would say over. And he would turn to his students and he would say, my dear students, he says, before Rosh Chodesh Elul, every Jew does Cheshbon HaNefesh, I'm sure. And he makes a whole list. This I gotta fix, and this I gotta do, and this and this and this. And he has all these great ideas of the way it's gonna look. By the time Hoshana Rabbah comes, he's gonna be one of the Lamed Vav Tzaddikim. And he only sticks to one part. He stays a big nistal, but a tzaddik he forgets. That part of it never comes to action. Because you can't forget the ikar and take care of the tafil. The most common trap that the Yetzer Hara puts a person to during the month of Elul, this is a little bit dangerous to say because it could be translated the wrong way, is slichot. Merov that we say slichot so many times, we forget to do tshuva. It becomes a habit. Who's going chazan today? How quick? You know, I got to get to work on time. It should be within 21.5 minutes. And are they blowing shofar or not? Did the shofar come out right? Did it not come out right? And that's it. That's what's left. And then in Rosh Hashanah Kippur, the shuls have to support themselves, and I'm not knocking this, rightfully so. So it becomes how much money did the shul bring in, and who bought an aliyah for how much? And we'll say Kippur, a guy looks back and he says, wait a second, 40 days went by and I forgot to do tshuva. Where am I? I forgot myself on the list. And this is so common. It's such a common problem. And there has to be maybe an eitzah, what to do to prevent this, that this shouldn't be the issue. So it's unbelievable about Latanya that every piece, all the Sfarim HaKadoshim that he wrote, is unbelievable. But one that connects with our time. In Perek Lamed and Tanya, the Tanya writes interesting words. And he quotes a Chazal really. Vitava HaKadosh Baruch Hu liyot lo dira b'tachtonim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had a desire, of course we don't understand what that means, it's just a relative term so we should relate to it. He had some sort of desire that he should have a dwelling place in this world. Hashem had, whatever it is, he wanted to have a place. And out of that desire of having a dwelling place in this world, this was one of the motivations or the incentives that he had when he created the world. Comes the Tanya and continues and writes like this. The Tachlit HaOlam Hazeh Shu Olam HaTachton, the ultimate goal of this world, which is the world down here, is Shekach Allah Ritzon Yitbarach Liot Nachat Ruach Lefanav Yitbarach. It's because that was the will of Hashem that there should be a world over here. That's it. That's where it starts. That's where it ends. Without all the extra philosophy and everybody has philosophies and this and that. By the time they're done with all their philosophy, they're left with nothing. Very, very simple. Then he writes words in Aramaic, which will roughly translate, not exactly. He says, what happens, but what ends up happening? He says, the Sitra Achar comes, and he says, wait, if Hashem's going to have Nachat Ruach in this world, then mission accomplished, the Jews did their job. I can't let that slide. So he looks to convince people not to sin, because then he knows he lost. So I have to go to a Jew and tell him sin. Now he's going to lose. He looks to convince people to turn darkness into light, to turn what really is a sin into a mitzvah, and to turn what's a mitzvah into an avirah. Common example is less common in the US, but in Israel is very common. Sometimes you speak to somebody who drives on Shabbat, and you tell them, you know, you're better than that. And why would you drive on Shabbat? And he's not going to tell you because I don't care. The Jew's a Jew. A Jew's I don't care. That's not going to happen. What does he tell you? I have an old mother who lives in some other town. He lives in Tel Aviv. She lives in Kiryat Gat. And Kibud Avayim, I have to go eat Friday night dinner with her. She's going to be left alone. So he turned around his sin, the choshech, into what he thinks is really holy. And he destroyed the world with good intentions. It says not like that. Doesn't make a difference. But in his mind, he's sure that he's doing the Chasidah, he's a Chasidah Kadisha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but there's a light that has no end, no beginning and no end. And even in that type of darkness, the Torah Kedosha has the ability, because it's Divrei Elokim Chayim, the words of Hashem, to shine enough light within that situation to find the truth even in that. The Ramchal writes that has that done. So he also, this is all based on Chazal. These are all Sfarim that quoted open Midrashim and Gemarot, but we're just explaining it the way they translated the Pirush in these Chazal. So the Ramchal brings down a mashal, a parable, to a king that used to go out for walks in the afternoon because of, that was the Shekein Derech HaMlachim, the Gemara says about that. The kings used to stroll purposely during the day. Everybody has to work, so they would stroll around. That shows that he's bigger and better. But this king didn't want to stroll amongst the Hamon Am, amongst the regular people. It wasn't Mishum Kvodo, he was more dignified than that. So he went and built himself gardens, that he should be able to have his own gardens and go out on his daily walks. After a while, it got boring, same flowers every day. So he was looking for something to stimulate his brain. So he told his workers that they should plant him a garden, that the trees should be bushes, and should be a maze. And that'll be his walk. Like this, every day I'll have the challenge. He goes in and he has to find his way out. So it's something more stimulating. Today they have places like that the kids go to in the vacation times. One day, the Ramchal says, the king goes into the maze, and he's going, but he gets lost. Didn't work out so well. And I guess he wasn't at his best focus that day. And he tries this and he tries that, and okay, now he got sick of his own garden already. He wants to get out of here. There's no way out. There's no way. He asked for the maze, and the maze got him into trouble. So he screams to his servants, "Come, get me out of here." Ramchal writes, if the servants are going to go into the maze to get him out, they're also going to get lost. Adarabah, he's doing it every day. So if anything, he's the experienced one. If they're going to go in, What's that going to help? They don't have experience. They're going to get lost even worse. So what did an Adam Chacham say to do? They took one servant, they elevated him very high up on a ladder. He was above all the trees, and from there he was able to see how you get out. And he told the king, now make a right, now make a left. He gave him instructions, he got his way out. Comes Ramchal and says when a person's alive in this world, he's inside the maze. And as long as he's inside with all his good intentions and with everything he means well, he's always going to hit dead ends, one dead end after another. It's not going to go. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Barov Rachamav came and gave us something that's above the maze, the Or Torah. And he says, take that and don't mistranslate it, don't misuse it, use it the right way. And by utilizing this as the right way, you'll have some sort of guide to get yourself out of the map of the maze. So we need we're already the majority for Yutet Elul. That means we're already more than halfway through the month of Elul. So we need an express fix over here. How do you get an express fix for Rosh Hashanah Kippur? So we looked at things. The last Thursday we spoke one thing, and other times we spoke other things lately. Tonight we'll take a very known approach, but we'll try and break it down a little bit with a twist of Chassidut based on the teachings of the Tanya. The following Chidush from the Tanya, I give you a disclaimer in advance that if it didn't say it clearly, it wouldn't be permissible of Pi Halacha to say such a thing. To the point that it would borderline atheism, literally like that. It's only because the Baal HaTanya, the Kocho, was able to write it and explained it that we're allowed to quote it. But there's a lot of room for error in this if it's not taken under those proportions. Baal HaTanya writes an interesting thing. Chazal teach us, Shloshat Dvarim ha'olam omed. The world stands on three things: on Torah, that's learning the Torah; Ba'al Avodah, that's praying today, or it used to be Korbanot; and Milut Chasadim. Comes to Tanya and says, let's analyze for a second. Torah today we have maybe more than ever in Klal Yisrael. Well, definitely since the Churban Bayit Sheni. Before that, could be there was more. But there's I don't know how many, but in Israel they estimate about 160,000 Talmidei Yeshiva B'li Ein Ken Yilmud. Although that's just in Yeshiva Gdolot, and if you add the kids, forget about the number. It's like some number that makes no sense. And in New York, we're not lagging far behind. Maybe in a higher yeshiva we have less because we don't stay to learn as long because of financial obligations. But we have unbelievable what's going on. In the lower age, for sure, we have huge numbers. And Lakewood Yeshiva near it just crossed the 9,000 number from what I heard. So that's just one yeshiva in one place, 9,000 guys sitting and learning every day, all day. It's an unbelievable thing. Ashrei Yisrael, amazing. But we have one flaw in our Torah, which is a fundamental flaw. That our Torah is not studied b'kedusha, b'tahara, and mitoch hadchak. Our Torah is studied in very comfortable circumstances. Look at the beautiful buildings that the yeshivot build. Why not? They're mansions, one after another. If in the synagogue tonight the air conditioner wouldn't be working, it would have been pikuach nefesh and nobody would be here. It's 100 degrees outside, no air conditioner. Right? The circumstances are very comfortable and convenient. Sephardic Jews, we feed people all day long in the synagogue. It's almost like a Beit HaTamchui, every Sephardic synagogue around the world. And yeah, that's what it is, a soup kitchen. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful thing. We have to bribe the Yetzer Hara to bring people in. But that makes the circumstance comfort. So Torah mitoch hadchak, that we definitely don't have. We have some Kollel students that are learning Torah mitoch hadchak. Let's not downplay that. But the overall is very comfortable. Torah mitoch kedusha, also we don't have. It's a dope pahutz, just walking on the street. There's no way to walk anymore. If you look straight, who knows what you'll see. If you look to the floor, you see the garbage magazines that people threw out that are on the floor. So where are you going to look? Up? Maybe. Blue brings you out Shammai, might be a good idea. But beyond that, that element of Kedusha we definitely don't have. And to be makpid on Tvilat Ezra, except for a few Hasidim maybe that go to the mikveh every morning, the general population of the world definitely is not makpid on it. So even the Torah that we learn, it's great Torah, it's very important. We should never think it's not, Hashem loves every word of it. But it's lacking in its power when it comes to what it does in Shamayim, or what it could have been otherwise, like the Torah, the great tzaddikim in the generations. Avodah was the second one. Avodah really means korbanot. Today, the extent of the korbanot that we have is either our employees if we don't get along with them, or those who sacrifice the kids on the altar of peer pressure. What's the neighbor going to say about my kid? But beyond that, we don't have avodah anymore. There's no korbanot. So we have tefillah, bimkom hakorban, instead, to replace, but it's still bimkom. We said in the prayers today, Hashem should consider our reading of the korbanot as if we brought a korban olah, as if we brought a korban, but it's still as if. Again, chas v'shalom, we're not downplaying the power of prayer. So I'll tell you an amazing story just to strengthen the power of prayer. But at the end of the day, it's not, we don't have the merit to have korbanot. Inshallah, soon we should have it again. Comes to Balatanya and writes, that means that 2 out of the 3 legs of the world today are very shaky. This is what he wrote already in his generation. Imagine what we should say now. He says, and that's why there's so many problems in the world. You have a table that 2 out of 3 legs that are supposed to hold it up are shaky. It's going to be bad news. It's not, the table's not going to work. He says, there's only one thing left that we have today that we could do the same way it was always done. That's Gemilut Chasadim. He says, so be'etzem, the world today stands on chesed. And maybe that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu made that Am Yisrael has chesed today in ways that's hard to understand. There's no way to describe. You should never need to know, but just from what I see of the services that are available to patients that are ill in different hospitals on the East Coast, it's amazing the chesed of Klal Yisrael, 24 hours a day. And we're not talking about people who give a few dollars and buy their guilt that way. There are people who actively themselves go from place to place to see what do you need, what can I help you with, what's there to do, what's this, what's that. I met a boy recently, he's an older boy, maybe in this school, he never got married yet. And I was asking him, what does he learn? So he told me. I asked him what he's learning. We met in the lobby of a hospital. I didn't know who he was, first time meeting him, so I was scared to ask him if he's not well or why is he here. So I was feeling it out to see what he needs. So he says he learns in this yeshiva. So I told him, I was looking to make conversation, so I told him, which was true, that I heard that yeshiva has a beautiful dormitory. So he smiles. So I said, what, it's not true? I was given false info? So he tells me, yeah, but I don't have the schut to be there. So I said, what do you mean? What, if you're a boy in yeshiva, why aren't you in the dormitory? He says, because during the day I learn. But at night, I want to do chesed also. I'm not going to give up my day to do chesed. I have to learn. He says, so every night I sleep in the hospital with a different patient, so the patients shouldn't be alone. I asked him, how long are you doing this for? He tells me 11 years. I said, Shabbat? He said, Shabbat, Yom Tov. This is the only bed I know is the floors of the hospitals. Once in a while I get lucky to give him a recliner. I said, and? He said, I stay until 7 in the morning, then I go to yeshiva to make it back in time for Shachrit 7:45. This is chay. We're not talking about, this is a story maybe we would say about 500 years ago. Maybe, even that I don't know. But there's a guy I just met in the past few months. It's unreal, unreal. So I told him I have one question. I roam the hospitals a lot also, not for 11 years, but 7 or 8 already, that I never bumped into you. So he says he's very cautious to keep on switching because he doesn't want to become a chesed figure or to be considered an organization or this. It's all done quietly, people know that he's available, and whichever person doesn't have who to be with at night, they call him, and he constantly alternates from place to place, from this to that, to keep it under the radar. And honestly, that impressed me more than everything. Normally, a guy like that, they should put him on the front of the Mishpacha magazine, the Hami magazine. They would have a 4 or 5 page interview with a guy like that. And also, L'Shem Shamayim, right? To teach others what it means to do chesed and this. It's under the radar, without anybody knowing. Probably 3/4 of the people he stayed with don't even know his name. He's a knowledgeable in Torah, and he happens to be blessed with a phenomenal sense of humor as well. So he's able to do really bikur cholim on a daily basis, l'chatchila. That's what the world's standing on, chesed. Where does this come in? So really we could talk about this any day of the year. Why is it so critical to talk about the concept of chesed now more than any other time of the year? Because I hate saying this because, I'm an optimist in life and I love talking optimism, but sometimes you also have to be a realist. An over-optimist, it's dangerous once in a while. And we're going to come to Rosh Hashanah in less than 2 weeks. I'm going to stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And there's a simple checklist. Put on tefillin in the morning, and we're going to check yes. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to say no. I said, wait a minute, I put on tefillin. So I'm not talking about those that are wearing tefillin from their bar mitzvah that will never check that God knows if it's kosher. They really didn't put on tefillin. The people that put on tefillin their whole life, and there's a kakaf to the lo manach tefillin because it was never kosher. The a very famous story from the Baba Sali's itself. The Baba Sali had a guy that once came to him and he had a brain tumor. And he asked him for a bracha. So the Baba Sali said that I'll give you a bracha gladly, but it's not going to help. The Baba Sali told somebody his blessing is not going to help. That was like a death sentence. The guy almost fainted. That's not what he was expecting. The Baba Sali realized he turned white and it wasn't good. So he told him, I'll tell you why it's not going to help, because you don't need my bracha. You can fix it in 1 second. So he said, what? He said, your tefillin shorosh is not kosher. That's why you have a brain tumor. So right away, the guy went to take his tefillin the next morning to get it checked. That's how they say, you don't play around. And they checked it, and it was perfectly kosher. Not only kosher, mudar sheba mudarim, the best of the best. Came back to the Baba Sali. He says, Rebbe, I don't understand. I went, I got it checked. I'm not arguing chas v'shalom. You tell me to buy a new one, I'll buy a new one. But they say it's mudar sheba mudarim. I won't even. It's going to be very hard to find another pair that will compete with this. So Baba Sali told him, "Do you have any idea who the sofer who wrote it is?" So Baba Sali, he said, "Yeah, sure. What do you mean? I recently got new tefillin. It's not a. I got it a few years ago." So he says, "Bring the sofer to me." So here's Baba Sali's calling him. He was an Ashkenaz guy, Hasid Gur. But there's a big schut, Baba Sali calling you. You know, people would beg to get in. Here he's calling him. He goes running. He drops everything. Baba Sali's calling him. Baba Sali sits him down and he tells him, "Listen, over here we're talking about Pikuach Nefesh, a guy's life. Be very, very careful every answer you answer me. If you write this tefillin, is this your handwriting?" The guy looks and he says, "Yeah, my handwriting." He says, "You're sure 100%?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Why do you skip one of the names of God inside the tefillin?" So Sofer says, "Let me check. Mistakes happen. It's possible. Let me check." Checks the tefillin, matches it with the tikkun, and he sees clearly everything's there. And he tells him, "Rebbe, you want to check yourself?" So he points to a word, and he says, "Over here it's supposed to be Shem Hashem, and you skipped it. Why did you skip Shem Hashem?" And he looks at the word that the Baba Sali is pointing to, and it is Shem Hashem. So now he looks even more like, what? He says, "Rebbe, maybe your eyesight, I don't know, you're not young, but you're pointing to Shem Hashem." He said, "I don't see Shem Hashem yet." Guy didn't understand. Baba Sali told him to come back after, whatever it was, lunch or something they were going on, mitzvah of some sort. He said, "Come back afterwards." This guy went out and he was pacing and thinking and trying to remember when he wrote the pair tefillin. Because Baruch Hu gave him a siyat d'shmaya and he remembered it. So if normally wouldn't remember, he writes who knows how many pairs of tefillin, and how's he going to know who got it? This guy ordered it directly from him, and it was a special tefillin that he invested a lot into, and he remembered. And this is what he remembered. There's a halakha that says that when you write Shem Hashem, you have to have special kavanah, not just to write stam, for kedushat Hashem. If you don't have the kavanah of writing Shem Hashem for Kedushat Hashem, you could write it, it could look beautiful, but it doesn't work. It's not kosher. He remembered that when he was writing that pair tefillin, he was by one of the Shemot Hashem, and normally they pause for a second, and they say that they be mechaven, Kedushat Hashem, or whatever. And then they write, or they think it, they write it. And when he finished writing the Kedushat Hashem, he had started having a doubt in his mind, did I have the kavanah or not? And he went back and forth, and then he assessed, I do this all day, I never miss, I have no distractions, not like now many of the Sofrim today that listen to music in the background, or even worse. And you would know what goes on in Stam, you wouldn't buy a mezuzah without seeing the Sofer write it yourself the whole time while you're there. When I was in Israel a few weeks ago, I went into a place that 4 Sofrim work, and they had an Israeli TV show on of ladies singing. And they're writing tefillin and mezuzot, and the most beautiful handwritings out there. These are mezuzot that sell for a couple $100 a piece. Frightening. I thought you guys are not scared of your olam haba. Maybe you want to be a Baal Avirah yourself, fine, but to be machshil everybody, you're causing all these other people that are innocently paying top dollar for your goods because the writing looks right. You're causing all of them not to have a mezuzah, not to have tefillin. You're causing thousands of people to have Sifrei Torah and shuls that it's all about Chalav Atara because there's no kavanah, no nothing. God wants to puke on it, something that was written this way. I wish I could tell you that they shut it off. They told me stop being fanatic and threw me out. That was the end of that story, unfortunately. But you remember that he said he has no distractions. He's Yirei Shamayim. He has a big sign in front of him also as a reminder. For sure he had the kavanah. He's not scared. And like this, he let it go. When he let it go, it seems like the Baba Sali B'Ruach Kadosh saw that he didn't have the kavanah. When he didn't have the kavanah, so now the guy has a problem with his tefillin. Immediately, the Sofer said he has another parasha. They just finished writing. He gave it to him instead. And 2 days later, the guy was healthy, like nothing ever happened. And this gentleman said over the story himself. Today he's a known speaker. And when he said over the story himself, he said he was talking about the Mishnah Berurah brings down that with Noheg, during Elul to check out tefillin and mezuzot. He said that's a good step, but maybe one of the things we should check is who wrote it and where did it come from. Because certain things, when I check your tefillin, I can't see. The computer can't see. There's certain things that are beyond that. What's visible. Maybe it's time to investigate where they're coming from. Who wrote it? Is it a person in Yirei Shamayim? Is it a person that has a certificate of Mishmeret Stam that gets retested every year so we know he doesn't forget halachot? People forget halachot. If you're not constantly reviewing, you'll be writing all day. You're going to end up making mistakes. Was it done according to the way the Rishonim hold? It's comical to me, for example, that people wear tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam, which is especially at Kabbalah, is a big reason to do it. But on their regular tefillin, which is their mitzvah, tefillin to Rashi, if Rabbeinu Tam is a shita that holds when it comes to the way it's written, that it would be a problem of being pasul, other Rishonim hold as pasul, there's no problem. That doesn't mean anything, it's fine. There's some tshuva somewhere that says it's okay. Make up your mind. If you're one of those that's machmeh and you're going to put on tefillin Rabbeinu Tam, at least your Rashi should be kosher. If not, where are you standing in your life? Which part of your... But we can't expect every person to be an expert. But that's an example of a situation that a person's put into. That the Yitzhak entraps him without him even knowing. In Chesed, there's unlimited opportunity for every person in every situation in life. And nobody has an excuse. Somebody who's wealthy can give tzedakah all day. Somebody who doesn't have those means, chesed could be smiling to somebody. Chesed could be saying good morning to somebody. Sometimes that's a bigger chesed than everything else in the world. Chesed could be the simplest thing in the world. The guy comes into shul, you give him a siddur on a chair. Yisrael Salanta used to tell his students that instead of you bringing your own chair and your friend bringing his chair, you bring his chair and he bring yours. And like this, you both get a mitzvah of chesed. Same action, same goal, same end result, but you do his, he does yours. And now you both got a mitzvah of chesed the whole world stands on. So every single person in every single situation in his life always has an opportunity to do chesed. There's never a time in your life that you don't have an opportunity to do chesed. There's always something. And because it's so accessible to do, Hashem's tviyah, Hashem's demand against the person if he doesn't do it is so much stronger. And now comes another step. And this is a known thing from Yisrael Salanta, that they used to say it a lot. It's even written in Yisrael, there's a whole piece about it, a ma'amah on it. And many Gedolei Olam throughout the generations wrote about it a lot. Tonight we're just going to take a little twist on it. Yisrael says, no, he went for the checklist. Tefillin, Osher Ken Osher Lo was a little problematic. Now let's say he had kosher tefillin. He didn't put them on. Not just put them on. He put them on in shul even. So you think, okay, at least tefillin, he did right. Sounds like it, no? He went to shul, he put on tefillin, the best tefillin, mudar, everything. It's not like that. Listen to a chiddush from the Baal HaTanya on this. Unbelievable. Unbelievable chiddush. Once the Baal HaTanya was on the way with his pupils, the students, and a group of robbers came, then they didn't just rob, they killed, no, they come, you don't get out of there. And Tanya was in his deep thought, and he didn't realize that they're coming to ambush. His students realized, they yelled, Rebbe, do something, they're going to kill us, it's not a joke. And Tanya then figured out what's going on, picked his head up, took his talit that was covering his tefillin shalosh, he moved it off his tefillin shalosh. These robbers saw that, they all went running, as if they didn't exist. And they continued. And this, they have, the students turned to the Baal HaTanya and they said, Rebbe, unbelievableness. how do you do that? Well, what's the stunt? So he said, what do you mean? You're my students, you should know. Pasuk, every child knows this pasuk. You don't know the basic pasuk? He said, what? I said, Daddy, what pasuk are you referring to? So he said, the pasuk says, the Goyim will see that Hashem's name is on you and they'll be scared of you. I picked up my thing, they saw, Chazal learn now, what's Shem Hashem, Tefillin. They saw my tefillin, they got scared, they ran away. He said, so if you want to ask questions, ask the question on yourself, not on me. You're all wearing tefillin. Why did the Rabbis not be scared of your tefillin and only scared of my tefillin? He says, that's the question here, not what I did. Wow. The question is, why weren't you able to do what I did? It should have been the same for all of us. And the Balatani turned to his students and he said, I'll tell you why. Because when Chazal say, Shem Hashem Nikra Alecha, Chazal say, Elul Tefillin Shebarosh. Shebarosh in Lashon HaKodesh means in your head. Tefillin you wear on your head, not in your head. So it should have said, Elul Tefillin Al HaRosh. What's Elul Tefillin Shebarosh? Tani told us to students, when you wear tefillin, you have to the entire time have kavanah that you're doing it Hashem mitzvah. Comes like Kosh Baruch Hu and says, when does the tefillin work via Rumi Mecca? Elul tefillin shib barosh. When you stick the tefillin in your head, that your mind was actually there, that you're doing a mitzvah d'oraita of wearing tefillin, that every second's a mitzvah, that there's a kiyuma mitzvah, there's a reason behind the mitzvah, that all the tamei mitzvah does the chinuch brings down. He said, maybe if you'll start having kavanah when you put on tefillin, it'll work by you also. Ad kan maaseh. So even if we got to the point that we put on tefillin in the morning, or during the day, whatever, each one where he's holding in life, and we put on good tefillin, if it's done mitzvah anashim melumada, on and off, it could be on for 3 hours, but if it's on and off, you didn't take a second to think, wait, I'm about to do a mitzvah, that the Rebbeinu Shalom commanded me, so it's not tefillin shebarosh. And here you started in the most simple mitzvah that today 3/4 of the Jews around the world probably keep on one way or the other. Forget about if Hashem's going to start asking us about what was the situation with our kashrut and our lashon hara and more complicated subjects like that, then it's going to be bad news. So what do we do? And this is what I asked last Thursday also, and obviously with a different message, but I said, should we quit? Should we give up? Honestly, on paper we should. So it's a lost cause. But of course we know, Rav Nachman says, Ein yush ba'olam klal. A Jew never gives up. And the day a Jew gives up, he's not a Jew. That's when he lost his tzelem enosh already. The human shouldn't give up, period. So what's the answer? And I love the answer, no, we're going to do tshuva. You said that last year, you said that 2 years ago, you said that 3 years ago. You've been saying that since you were born. It's almost embarrassing already, this whole thing. Not the 5 minutes later, we're back to square one. It's a joke. It's not normal. The whole day Kippur, cry his heart out, daven. You would think Malach Hashem Tzvakot, and he comes home to do Avdalah Motzei Kippur, and there's nothing to eat, and he gets upset, and he fights with his wife 5 minutes after Kippur. And these are very common things. That's maybe one of the reasons why it says in the Poskim that you should go Motzei Kippur right away build a sukkah. We tell the man stay out of the house. At least one night you won't fight with your wife. At least one night. At least the first night after Kippur, the last one night. Stay outside, you be busy with your construction, and leave your wife alone. But this, I wish I was exaggerating. Unfortunately, it's not. Lo aleinu, today we see even worse than that. On Kippur, there could be a fight in the synagogue. Why did he get this saliyah? Why did he do this? Why did the chazan do that? Why didn't you say this mizmor? I remember one year I was in shul, and I'm about tefillah, part of the tefillot, and one of the congregants came to fight with me. This is what he was fighting with me about. I prayed Musaf Chazar. And it seems like I must have cried during the Chazarah a little bit. They came fighting with me with some sefer that says you're not allowed to cry on Rosh Hashanah. I told them, I hope you go to hell for that sin. That's the only sin you go to hell for. So we cried during the prayer on Rosh Hashanah. I wish you from the bottom of my heart. But on Rosh Hashanah, in public, came to embarrass me. I wasn't embarrassed. I pitied him, honestly. But on Rosh Hashanah, came to me with a book in public, yelling at me. You went against halacha. What's his Rosh Hashanah worth at that point? Now I don't judge him. He's probably not well in his brain or something. But not probably, for sure. It doesn't make sense otherwise. But I'm just saying as an idea, how the Yitzhak comes on Rosh Hashanah, even then he figures out a way to start up with somebody. He has no end. They say that Satan has no koach on Yom Kippur. So how could it be that people still do sins on Kippur? So he has no koach. Now the answer is, the some averot that are so bad that a person does them. It has nothing to do with Yetzer Hara. Lashon Hara is the number one thing. The Yetzer Hara, Lashon Hara is so bad that you don't need the Yetzer Hara to come to you to tell you to say Lashon Hara. Naturally, a person wants to say. I quoted here once, I think. I was still here more frequently before Shavuot, maybe a year and a half ago. I think I quoted from the Gaon. The Gaon writes that Hashem went to each nation of the world and said, and to offer them the Torah, and they asked, Maktiv ba. So one said, Lo tirtzach. They said, well, you know, we kill, we're not going to accept the Torah. Lo tinaf, that's us, we're not going to get this, that. Each one picked a different mitzvah. The Jews, he didn't ask. So the Gaon asks, if Hashem would have wanted to ask the Jews something, what would have he asked? What would have been the Jewish question? Each nation he targeted with what they do, right? Their hardest point. What would he targeted the Jews with? The Gaon says he would have asked them, he would have told them, Lo telech lachil ba'amecha, you're not allowed to gossip. So the Gaon says, so why didn't he ask that? It's only fair if he asked everybody else, he should have asked the Jews, why didn't you gossip? Maktiv. They should have asked Maktiv, but Hashem should have answered. It says, Lo telech lachil ba'amecha. And the Gaon writes frightening words. Because Hashem was scared that the Jews would say, no thank you, we're not accepting the Torah. This same generation that said Naaseh v'nishma, they got 2 crowns from Shemayim for saying Naaseh v'nishma. Migilah Razel, the Banai, that Malachei HaSharet are the only ones that know. They would have heard that they can't gossip, because that's in the DNA of a person. But now how does it work? That's also part of the question. A person comes to pray with the same mouth that the whole year he says, who knows what comes out of it. That doesn't work. You take kosher meat and put it in a not kosher pot, but the meat's not kosher anymore. So the prayer is not kosher. And that's why a lot of people pray and don't get answered. That's why the Chofetz Chaim says if a person wants his prayers to be answered, he should learn how to stay quiet and not talk about people. So so where's our hope? Where's our trick? We need a trick. So in the prayers we come to God and we say a very interesting thing. God, don't judge us for who we are. Avinu malkeinu chonenu v'anenu ki ein banu ma'asim. We have no case. Why would you say that? You're pleading guilty. You're instantly giving in. Ein banu ma'asim. We have nothing. Don't even look. There's nothing to find. Waste of time. So what are we asking? Asay manu tzedakah v'chesed v'oshiyeh. Do with us tzedakah v'chesed, and therefore, first of all, isn't tzedakah chesed and chesed tzedakah? What's the difference between tzedakah v'chesed? We dedicated a shiur once to explain this. It's 2 different things. But we're asking Hashem, I'm saying on tzedakah, but that alone's not enough. V'chesed, meaning a charitable act and something that comes out of kindness beyond the regular charity. V'oshienu, and through that bring us the Yeshua. So number 1, as proven in Chazal in many, many cases, the Baruch Hu works with a person, midah keneged midah. Right? The first time we clearly see it in Chazal is when Moshe Rabbeinu asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ma shmecha, what's your name? So he answered him back, Lama zeh tishal et shmi. That's where Jews got the idea of you answer a question with a question. Why are you asking my name? Well, the Maaseh, he did tell him his name. Hashem told him, Chazal say, what does Ehyeh mean? That's Hashem's name. It's one of them. So what did he tell him? The midah she'ata moded imi, ani moded imcha. Imcha, I think it says that actually. With the way you behave is the way I behave with you. So if your whole hope on Hoshana is asay man tzedakah v'chesed v'oshienu, ein banu ma'asim yet. We're not proclaiming that we deserve anything. But anyway, do an act of charity. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to make a decision if he's willing to do the act of charity or not. What's that decision going to be based on? How much tzedakah v'chesed you did that year. If you're a person that lives chesed all day, so very easily Hashem gives you a pass. He says, you got it. Yeah, I'll look away, it's fine. But if you're lacking in the area of tzedakah v'chesed, so then Hashem says, I measure you like you measure. It goes hand in hand. So I don't have what to hold on to. Comes Rav Yisrael Salanta and explains this idea, and he takes it a step further. He says sometimes the situation is so bad for a person that even the tzedakah chesed case doesn't work anymore. Hashem says, tzedakah chesed is nice and dandy, but you crossed every line that exists. There's a limit to how much you crossed. And Lo Aleinu and Shamayim, they want to throw the book at him, and it's going to be the worst of the worst. He still has hope. Not only tshuva and tefillah, he says that's a high level. Alavai, we should merit to be tshuva and tefillah karoi. Alavai, we should merit to it. Because even before that, because what's his hope? We learn this in many, many places in Chazal. One of the most known examples, and I like using what's known because it's easiest to associate with, is Yosef HaTzadik. When his brother sold him, after they threw him into the pit, and they decided to sell him. So he went down to Mitzrayim and with Ishmaelim. And what were these Ishmaelim carrying with them besides for Yosef? They were delivery boys. What were they delivering? Because I'll say perfumes. Samim. Perfumes. Who cares what they were carrying? We're talking about a kid who was kidnapped from his father. Not just kidnapped by the Colombian mafia, kidnapped by his own brothers. That alone is the biggest Gehenom right there. Betrayal. Then, besides from being kidnapped or being threatened or whatever, now he's being sold to a foreign country. God knows what's going to be with him. If he'll live, if he'll die, if he'll be a slave. He has no way of knowing what he's going to be. And we see really what he went through afterwards. And Chazal find it important, the Torah finds it important, and Chazal find it important to elaborate at great length to say that he went to Ishmaelim that were delivery boys of perfumes. Yes. That's what's important now. Imagine a guy comes with some guy did some bad crime, and he comes in front of the judge, and the judge says, "Did you do the crime?" So he says, "Yeah, sure I did." The judge tells him, "Listen, buddy, you might not want to say that. You know, at least take a lawyer, maybe find a plea bargain. Yeah, you're going to say just like that. I did it." He said, "I did it. I don't need no lawyer." He says, "You have anything to justify it?" He says, "Sure, I have what to justify it with." He says, "What do you have what to justify it with?" He says, "That morning, I was wearing Hugo Boss perfume." He says, "What does that have to do anything? You're a kidnapper." But that's what the Torah spent words on teaching us. Yosef goes down to Egypt. He's a kidnap victim by his own brothers, but he smelled perfume. And the Sfarim and Doshim all teach us the same message. They say, Chazal coming to teach us over here a very important lesson for life. They say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is gozer on a person exactly the amount of suffering it should have. And it stays exactly at that and not one drop further. Yosef had to be sold to Egypt. He had to be in prison. He had to go through the story of Eshet Potiphar. This was Gzerah from Shamayim for whatever reasons. But he didn't have to have a bad smell on the way down to Egypt. That wasn't part of the Gzerah. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so careful that he doesn't deserve. Okay. I'm going to use the example of sick people because we said a story about a hero in Bikur Cholim before. And probably also for biased reasons, because the amount of Shomei Torah mitzvot that are not well that I have to be exposed to and help in a day, hopefully in your whole lifetime you'll never see. So obviously it's a subject that's very much in my heart. And even within the suffering of a person's in a hospital. You could be in a hospital and the nurse treats him like garbage, or you could be in a hospital and the nurse decided to be nice by mistake. You could be in a hospital and the doctor has bedside manner and doesn't throw the whole book at him and tell him you have no hope. Or you could be in a hospital and the doctor does do that. You could. Because Baruch Hu exactly has the Gzerah. Now, we go visit a person who's not well. Not well doesn't have to mean critically ill. He has a flu, that's good enough. So we do a mitzvah from the Torah, many mitzvot, but one of the mitzvot is Bikur Cholim. You ever pay attention that something's a little bit weird over here? Bikur Cholim. We're going to visit the sick people. There's one person sick. It's not plural. It should be Bikur Choleh. All day long we use that word, Bikur Cholim. So many of the organizations, I understand, they're dealing with sick people all day. But us, I'm going to Yom the Mitzvah, Bikur Cholim. What Cholim? I'm going to Yom the Mitzvah, Bikur Choleh, I'm visiting one sick person. There's so many answers in the Sfarim HaKadoshim, all the way back to the days of Chazal and Midrashim on this. But a relatively recent answer of a couple hundred years ago in the Sfarim HaKadoshim, it says like this. that when a person's sick, it's not only he's sick. It affects him, he's not well. It affects his wife, it affects his children, it affects his parents if they're still alive and they worry for him. There's so many other people around that are affected by his sickness. It affects all those that have to care for him, it affects his friend. No. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a person sick, we should never know Shalom B'Yatzal Yisrael. Before it happens, it has to go through a clearing process in the heavenly courts. And the clearing process is, not only does this person deserve to suffer now, does his wife deserve to suffer, does his kids deserve to suffer, does his friends deserve to suffer, does everybody, and if there's even one person in that whole network that doesn't deserve to suffer, he's off the hook even though he deserves it. Comes Rabbi Yisrael and says, here you got the trick to come out of Hashanah in good shape. Is you want the trick? His words are, become an ish shaharabim tzrichim lo. A person that many need him. And therefore, even if something's supposed to go wrong in your life, maybe the other guy doesn't deserve to lose out on you being available for him. Now you're saved because of him. And the more people you have in your network, the more times you'll get saved. The more chance you have to get saved. As I'll say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not mo'es b'tfilatam shel rabim. There's a big kahal that pray, Hashem accepts it, even if it doesn't always add up. There's many pshatim in this, and I'm not coming to explain why there are times that we've seen thousands pray and the outcome wasn't the way they prayed it for. That's not the subject. But one of the many explanations on this is the Maharal says that the nature of a person is when he prays for something and he sees a result, he has a certain hana'ah from it, a certain satisfaction from it. Yagata u'matzata ta'amin, he compares it to that. Like a person who learns and understands his learning, obviously he's going to have a certain satisfaction more than a person who learns and didn't understand. He says if there's a lot of people that prayed, maybe not everybody in the crowd deserves the satisfaction of feeling that their prayer was answered. But one person out of the whole group, there will be that deserves that. So for that alone, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to listen to the prayer. For that alone, so now you got a strategy. You know what the strategy is? You have 11 and a half days or something to figure out how to be an ish rabim tzrichim lo. A person that Am Yisrael depends on, that needs the earth. They need you. You can't go without you. At that point, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to concede. What your rap sheet of the year is doesn't make a difference anymore. Asei manu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. It's not only that we're trying to stick ourselves in Klal Yisrael, which is a big yisod on Rosh Hashanah as well. But v'hoshienu meaning, if I don't deserve the Yeshua, v'hoshienu, plural. The other guy that needs me, he does deserve the Yeshua. So if not for me, for him. If not for him, for the next one. If not for him. But between all of us, there's somebody that deserves it. And in the schut and it's tzedakah v'chesed that we do with those, help me. The schut and it's tzedakah v'chesed we do with those, help me. There's a great rabbi that had the schut at a young age to see many times. He was friends with my father, Shiva Del Chaim Tolim. Chaim crises. It's a very famous story, but I heard it from his own mouth. It was very famous. The idea. Chaim Kreisworth was diagnosed with an illness, and there was no hope back then, definitely in the medical welfare. And it was known that he had weeks left, if that. And he decided to go to Israel, and he was in Europe. He decided to fly to Israel to go to the Stipler, to get an Eitzah, a blessing from the Stipler. And then the Stipler gave him a very known Eitzah, which is good to know, for we should never need it, but we should do it without needing it. So he told him that the best way to get a flush for somebody is to be osek with achnasat kala. He explained it to him based on the way the Ashkenaz say the prayer in the morning, that they say Biku Cholim. No, they say Biku Cholim achnasat kala ulvayat tamed. He says normally Biku Cholim ends up by levaya. He says how do we split? The Biku Cholim should stay Biku Cholim and there shouldn't be levayat tamed with achnasat kala. The way we say it, the Sfaradim in the morning, it doesn't really read that way, but that's what he told. Reb Chaim Kreisworth in the Stipler's house, this is what I heard from himself, made a neder that he's going to dedicate the rest of his life to being the biggest Gabbai tzedakah in the world. He wasn't wealthy, but he had access to wealthy people. And he's going to do anything he can to help any kala, and any chatan, kala, the same thing, anywhere, in any situation, amongst thousands of other tzedakot that he was involved in. And there was a point that he told my father that, he says, one day when he was in New York, he told my father that today alone, this is what I'm talking about years ago, when money was worth much more than today, it was much less accessible than today. He said, today alone, I did $12.5 million of tzedakah. He was a broker of $12.5 million of tzedakah, just in one day, a random day in the middle of the year. And he had a nes galui. He got healthy, he lived by Chut Yanimiyat, Manig Kehillah, the Tiferet of Am Yisrael, unique in every way. Gaon Olam, a person the whole Torah was known to him like nothing. He knew the whole Shas. They used to say in Hebrew, it goes better. Torah was by him open as a book. The disciple used to stand up for him. The whole Torah was open to him like a book. And with all of that, he still found it important. So all his Torah didn't protect him. He still got sick. What protected him? His tzedakah chesed. When he got to a point that the Baruch Hu saw he became a person of tzedakah chesed, the Baruch Hu said, Isha Rabim Slichim Kol Yisrael Mitzvah. And even if there's Lo Aleinu, we should never know Gzirah on him. The Gzirah is not on all those Almanot and Yitomim and so on. And we've seen by many Gedolei Yisrael over the years, there's countless stories of what they will say before Rosh Hashanah. I heard recently from a Talmud of Moshe Feinstein, that in Erev Rosh Hashanah one year, Moshe asked him to walk him somewhere because he was very old and on the weak side, he didn't want to walk alone. And okay, Erev Rosh Hashanah, Moshe wants to go somewhere. Where does he want to go Erev Rosh Hashanah? And he told me, it's hard to believe this story, but he told me two things. One part's easy to believe if you understand Moshe, but one part's hard to believe. First, he stopped at a deli. Not kosher deli, a store, like a Manhattan, over there where you live. They bought a lottery ticket. It's hard to believe that a Moshe would buy a lottery ticket. This part of the story I have trouble believing. But this person claims that he saw it with his own eyes. And he asked Moshe, what's this? Lottery ticket. So Moshe said that he doesn't have money. He never had money. And he's happy. He doesn't need. But maybe Hashem wants him to give out tzedakah. Hashem's going to come to him after 120 and say, you never made an effort to have money. And that's why you weren't able to give out tzedakah. It's like this, I could tell Hashem, once a year I made an effort, I gave you a way to send it. If you would have wanted me to do it, you would have sent it. I don't know. So this part of the story, I'm not going to lie to you, I have trouble believing, but this guy promises me that he saw it with his own eyes. And then they continued, and they went to a house. It's a random house. And Moshe went in there, and there was a big simcha over there. What turns out, there was a lady who lost her husband a year and a half before, and she's an almana with 2 Yitomim there. And on Erev Rosh Hashanah, Moshe was busy asking them, each kid, what games did he get? Did he get new clothing for Yonta? Did he this, that? And he told the student before they walked in, you take notes on all the answers. Why? Because he wanted to send them presents, and before he sent the presents for Rosh Hashanah, he wanted to make sure he's not buying something they already have. So first he went to visit, then to interrogate to find out what they have, what they don't have. Had a student sit there, take notes, and then went and bought them toys. So Moshe Feinstein, Erev Rosh Hashanah, was busy with buying toys for some kid. Al Panav, it seems like a crazy story, it makes no sense. Based on what we're saying, the answer is very simple. And Moshe understood. Isha Rabim Tzrichim Lo, this young Yatom suffered enough in his life. He definitely doesn't deserve to suffer more. And if he needs a Moshe now, as crazy as this sounds, as far-fetched as it sounds, even for a Gedol Ador, that's protection. Even for a Torah giant, that's protection. And like this, we've seen many Gedolei Yisrael. There's one that's still alive, Shibadel Chaim Tovim, he lives right here in Brooklyn, Hashem Shem L'Far Shlema, Sklener Rebbe, Hashem should give him a long life, L'Far Shlema, Sklener Rebbe. Malach Hashem Tzvakot. No way to describe, I don't know, it's like, anything I'll say is going to be downplaying and tzaddik, it'll be an insult for tzaddik, what he is. But I will tell you that if you want to see what it means to be a Baal Mofet in today's generation, that it still exists, you go to Sklender Rebbe, you'll see what it means to be a Baal Mofet. I've seen things there over the years that, I don't know, There's definitely no rational case. Even, and I'm talking as one who was exposed to many delays, who grew up on the lap of many delays, who saw many interesting things in life. When a grandfather that was a big Kabbalist, who was a big Baal Mofed, and with all of that, you see why this kind of day in, day out makes no sense. I'll just give you a random, the first story that comes to my mind. I have a close friend who one day calls me and he tells me, and he wasn't a Shomer Shabbat at that point, Syrian Jew, and he tells me, who's the biggest rabbi alive today? I said, I'm not in the rabbi rating business, so I can't answer you that question. I said, but since when do you need rabbis? You and rabbis almost have an allergy to each other. So he tells me, I need the biggest rabbi. You've got to find me. And he's yelling at me on the phone. It's so not his character. He's a soft-spoken person. Now! There's no time. I said, where do you want it to be? I thought this whole thing was a joke, honestly. So I thought, where do you want it to be? In New York, in Israel, and there. He said, I would prefer in New York. There's not enough time to get to Israel. When I heard that, I realized something's wrong. I said, okay, now I'm going to take you seriously. Can you tell me what's going on? He said his wife had a terrible stroke. And she's at the end. Miraculous. Says the doctors say it's a matter of a few hours. So I said, so what do you need a rabbi for? He says, listen, if the doctors can't help, maybe the rabbis could. So he said, if the doctors can't help, maybe the rabbis could. Years later, I didn't tell them then, obviously. Years later, I told him, because these are friends, I was able to get away with it. I said, maybe if you would have been friends with the rabbis before the doctors, you would have never had to come to the doctors. I told him, in America, the Sklenar Rabbi, what's the question? He said, so let's go. I said, you can't just walk into the Sklenar Rabbi's house. It doesn't work like that. He's got Baim, and he's not well, and he's old, and you have to hope he's healthy enough to even see you. You have to hope he's healthy enough to hear what you're saying and to respond. You have to hope that the Gabbai will let you in at all, like that is possible. It has to be at a time that he's not praying or learning, and he prays and learns nonstop. You think exactly now, this second, because you want to go in, that's the way it's going to work? He tells me, which word didn't you understand? My wife's life's at stake. Get me in there. And then he throws in, I'll give them whatever they want. I got money. If that's what's going to make it happen, Sklenar Rebbe has an organization that helps you to Chesed Avraham. Took over this, the previous Sklenar. And that's his soft spot in life. And he's raised all his Talmidim that should be their soft spot in life. So I picked up the phone to one of the Gabbaim, and I told him, listen, I have 100,000 for you for Chesed Avraham, but there's a catch. The Rebbe has to accept somebody in an hour from now. I figured to get from Manhattan Hospital to Sklenar, it'll take about that amount of time. He tells me, let me find out the facts, I'll call you right back. He calls me back 2 minutes later, he says, come. So we went to this Rebbe, and this guy tells the Rebbe, and the Rebbe speaks Yiddish, he speaks English, but he understands. And he tells him, my wife, this, that. And he tells him, I just gave 100,000 to Chesed Avraham. The Rebbe ignores him as if he didn't give a thing, like, didn't even tell him thank you, like, ignores him completely. And he says, Rebbe, give me a blessing that my wife should survive and she should be okay. And it was total silence, and the Gabbaim even felt uncomfortable. They just got a $100,000 check from the guy. At least a blessing, something you got to come through with. Finally, he picks up his head, and he says in Yiddish, when the Gabbai translates, he says, you have 9 not kosher machines in your house, TVs. You take them out of your house, your wife will be home in less than 9 days. Healthy. Then I gave him a nice warm blessing, and we left. We go into the car, and he tells me, let's calculate. I'll see if this rabbi knows what he's talking about. Not if, yeah. My house is turning upside down in 3 minutes. He says, you don't know me. And he starts counting the den, the playroom, the this, the that. I hear him counting. Bedroom, there's 8. He said 9. I said, start over. Maybe we don't know how to count. Let's use our fingers. You know?
Computer.
Kid said, round 3 says, oh shoot, my maid that lives in the basement, she also got one. That was the I said, okay, so we're going back to the hospital, what are we doing? He says, no, we're going to the house. I said, what do you mean going to the house? He said, we got to get rid of those things. This is the guy who's not a Shomer Shabbat. Suddenly he's throwing out 9 TVs in his house. And we're talking about the days that plasma TVs were still very expensive. Very, very expensive. He had 9 of them. Went to the house. Hazid, his neighbors thought he went nuts. Started carrying them out of the house with me. On the front lawn, Then he took something they used for a grill to make coals burn, put it all over the top, and made a bonfire on his front lawn. Not legal, not safe, not smart. Ended up costing him a big fine also afterwards for what he did. But he could afford it. And with simple emunah, he went back to the hospital, and on the way to the hospital, he told me, by the time I get there, my wife's awake. I don't even doubt it. His neighbors were talking. They even came to me. They said he lost his mind. You know, maybe we should medicate him. And this, he took it hard. Something. He's nuts. I want to tell you what I saw in my own eyes. We went back to the hospital, and his wife woke up. Before he got there, she was awake. And forget about 9 days. I think 4 days later, she was home. Walking, regular, everything healthy, like nothing had happened. Today he's not just a Shomer Shabbat, we call him a Sklena Chassid, a Syrian Sklena Chassid. You know, instead of he won't do anything in life without the Rebbe's blessing first. His biggest business transactions that he made his whole life. Today, if the Rebbe doesn't approve, it's out of the question. It's automatic no. There's no, it doesn't. He tells me, jokes around me, that when he takes son-in-laws for his daughters, he says, you know what type of boy that's she's living with him, not me. That's her business. So, but there's one condition. He got to pass one interview by me. He has to sign a form that says if the Sklena ever says something, he says yes automatically. Otherwise, he can't be part of my family. That's the one. Listen, I think he's right. After seeing that, I think he's right. He's a tzaddikim that have a certain power that we don't understand this power. I once asked the Sklena, that's how crazy I am. I said, where'd you get this power from? And I was expecting an answer, Shmirat Einayim, because Shmirat Einayim knows no bounds. You know what he told me? Chesed Avraham, 2 words. All his Torah, his thousands of Hasidim, all his mitzvot, he didn't mention a word of any of it. Chesed Avraham. All these people need me, so Hashem works with me. We negotiate. It works with me in return. You walk into a Shana at night, you have to be able to say to yourself, how many people in this world need me? Hashem Shabbat should never need. But there is a need in Klal Yisrael. People need each other. How do you need me? And the more people you have on your resume that need you, the better off you are. And if you're not a person that has the abilities to connect with the thousands or with the masses and has a lot of Klal Yisrael that need you, at least buy stock in somebody else who does have people that need it. At least that much you should have. Buy some shares in something like that. That's probably your best and wisest investment that you'll ever have in your entire life. At least that much. Ish she'harabim tzrichim lo. Be a person that the public needs. A person that the public needs, at that point that the Baruch comes and says, I'm going to listen to your words. Now, in order to balance this message out, and God forbid nobody should take that prayer is not important, Torah is not important, Chas v'Shalom, Chas v'Shalom, you shouldn't take such a message. I want to just share with you an unbelievable story that maybe you know, maybe you don't, but I didn't notice until today, that I heard on a recording that somebody randomly sent me a clip on WhatsApp of the great Magid of Malach Biderman, Hashem Yishmarei V'Yichayev. Who doesn't love a Malach, right? He gives us all material every Shabbat, every week there. I get clips from him all week, every time. And it's interesting. It's almost like I could write a book about him, because every time I'm going through a situation, I always get a clip that has to do with that somehow. Weird, it's becoming spooky already, this thing. But Malach's the Rebbe of Chizuk Klal Yisrael, the one who gives Chizuk to everybody in Am Yisrael. So today I was listening like I do all the time. Whenever I have an extra minute, whatever sent to me from him, anything, things like I'll even hear the same thing 10 times, I don't give it. He has a way to give over a message. So he said over a story, and he said it with the details, the exact details. And it meant so much to me to say it over right, and not to make any mistakes, that I sat and typed on my phone exactly the names and the details and that to make sure. He said that in 2 years, it's a little over 2 years ago. Tavshinayim Hey. There was a Jew that lived in Bnei Brak at the end of his life, but almost his whole life he lived in Yerushalayim, that passed away. He was a big tzaddik. He was 91 years old. His name was Nehemiah Becker. Nehemiah Becker has children, Shibalu Chaim Tovim, they're alive. And his sons were the ones who said this to Malach Biderman. That's the way he said over the story. A few times they told him what's the story. He said he got married. About a year later, more or less, his wife had a baby boy. Big simcha. Agreed, that. They're already planning a pidyon ben after the brit. Simcha, baby boy. Baby, period. A healthy baby. Kid says 2 weeks after she had the baby, and suddenly she gets very sick. They realize right away it is not a joke, and he decided he's going to go to the guy was known as like the biggest professor back then in Israel. And his name was, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, you'll excuse me, but his name was Professor Shikli. I actually Googled this, I found like writing, he was known as a medical genius in Israel. And they brought the wife there, she wasn't in good shape, and he checked her, whatever. Kids, he decided that she has some problem as a result of the birth, and she needs an emergency surgery. There was no kupat cholim, no insurance, right, before those days. He wanted money. Without that, he's not doing anything. So he wanted a lot of money. What was a lot of money back then? He wanted, I think it was 15 lirot. Just to put things in perspective, 15 lirot was about what a person earns in 9 months at that time. So this guy had a total of 5 lirot that he owned. He right away gave him the 5 lirot. He said, the rest, work with me, fine. When's the surgery? He says, a minute earlier. She's in danger. He says, you gotta wait a few hours. Right now, it doesn't work for me to do surgery. He says, I'm not doing surgery on you, I'm doing it on your wife. It doesn't work, it's an emergency. He says, I don't do anything without something else first, and he runs out of the hospital. He doesn't authorize the surgery. Now, by law, the patient or next of kin has to authorize the surgery. The wife is not in a condition that she can comprehend anything, so she can't authorize. The husband's not there. Nobody can authorize the surgery. They can't do it. As long as it could wait. If it's life and death, they could do it. But if it could still wait even an hour, they have to wait that hour to see if there's somebody to sign off on. What did he do? He decided he's going to Bnei Brak. Why is he going to Bnei Brak? He's going to the Chazon Ish. He's going to the Chazon Ish. Now today, when we say Yerushalayim, Bnei Brak, what's the big deal, right? Go on bus 402, I think it is. 40 minutes, you're there. 45 minutes, you're there. Back then, to go from Yerushalayim, from the hospital, to Bnei Brak, to the Chazon Ish's house, you had to take 4 buses. 4 buses. You had to take a bus from where he was, the hospital, Tachana Merkazit in Yerushalayim, a bus from Tachana Merkazit in Yerushalayim, Tachana Merkazit in Tel Aviv, a bus from Tel Aviv to Ramat Gan, and a bus from Ramat Gan to Bnei Brak. 4 buses. And they weren't buses like today. It was buses, Hashem Yirachem on a bus like that. Could be walking is better sometimes. And he went on 4 buses while his wife's laying in the hospital to the Chazon Ish. He took his wife to the doctor first thing in the morning. By the time he got to the Chazon Ish, it was already afternoon, mincha time. The Chazon Ish, he turns to the Chazon Ish and he says, Rebbe, my wife's very sick, she had a baby 2 weeks ago, I'm a newlywed couple, this is the story. And should I do the surgery or not? And this is the professor, I gave him 5 lirot already. Should I do the thing or not? The Chazon Ish starts yelling at him. He's pikuach nefesh, what do you waste your time coming to Bnei Brak for? Every hour is critical. And wasting time like that? Yes, of course you have to do the surgery. What's the question at all? No. He's about to leave. Chazon Ish said, do the surgery, do the surgery. And he's about to leave, the Chazon Ish tells him, listen, we're about to daven mincha now. By the time you get back to Yerushalayim, it's going to be shkia. You're going to miss mincha. Daven mincha on a bus. Tells him Yiddish, tzot tam. That doesn't have a good taste. Pray mincha with me and then go back. Now he's confused. A minute ago, the Chazon Ish yelling at him every second counts pikuach nefesh. Now pray mincha with me. Chazon Ish said it. That's it. Praise mincha with the Chazon Ish. They get done mincha. The Chazon Ish walks over to this gentleman and he tells him, Nechemia, what was your question they asked me before mincha? The Chazon Ish had an unexplainable memory. People said that he could make Einstein look like an idiot. That's how big of a brain he had. You even remember? Chazon Ish asks, you don't play. He told him again the whole story. My wife had a baby 2 weeks ago. Boy, this, that. This professor, 5 lirot deposit, I'll pay him the rest of it. Tells him everything again. Chazon Ish thinks and he says, he's wrong, the professor. She doesn't need surgery. She's a healthy lady. Yeah, she has a little problem, but has nothing to do with what he's saying. It's a different problem completely. She doesn't need no surgery. Now he's even more confused. He says, Rebbe, wait a second. 15 minutes ago, he yelled at me. Why did I come to Bnei Brak? It's pikuach nefesh. Every second count. What changed in the last 15 minutes? Can I understand? Now you tell me nothing, just like that? So Chazon Ish told him, you never learned Rabbeinu B'chaye? Rabbeinu Bachai says that the power of mincha is l'shanot et hateva, it can change the nature. Before mincha, she needed surgery. Now we daven mincha, she doesn't need surgery anymore. So this person, from what I understand from the way Rabbi Yaakov said over the story, must have had a little personality. So he told the Chazon Ish, now he has another question. So Chazon Ish said, what's your next question? He said, what do I do about the 5 lirot? Do I have a right to ask it back from the doctor? No, it was a lot of money for him. So the Chazon Ish told him, you're not allowed to ask it back because you give him a deposit for a service that he was right at the time that he had to do and whatever. But it could be on his own, he'll understand to give it to you. We sent him on his way. This guy comes back from Bnei Brak to Yerushalayim, 4 buses again. You could imagine this was an 8-hour story or something, between the buses and the mincha and this and that. The doctors are ready to kill. Everybody in the hospital knows the Meshugano ran away on his wife and that. And then he breaks the news to the doctor, no surgery. The doctor gets even angrier. He says, why no surgery? What does that mean, no surgery? Your wife's life is at stake. He said, I was in Bnei Brak, but the Chazon Ish said no surgery. He said, which medical school did the Chazon Ish go to? So he tells him back, Rabbeinu Bachai's medical school. Yes, koach biyad mincha l'shanot hateva. That's it. The doctor wasn't a shomer Torah mitzvot. Maybe he did tshuva at the end of his life, I don't know, but at that point, it wasn't so good. He opened the mouth, he said very nice things about the Chazon Ish, and the shul were never going to quote such things. And out of disgust to this person in the Chazon Ish, he took the 5 lirot out of his pocket, he threw it on the floor, he says, take your money back and let your wife die. Use it for the Chevra Kadisha. That was his goodbye words. This guy had no games, took his wife home. The next morning she was fine. The Chazon Ish said, that's not her problem, she has a different problem. About a day later, after that, again she wasn't feeling well. He couldn't go back to this doctor anymore. He burned this bridge with him. He had to find a different doctor. He took it to a different doctor. Turns out she had some sort of internal infection. And when he told him the whole story that 2 days ago, also she didn't feel all right because he had to give him the background of the medical so the doctor could diagnose. The doctor said, you should just know one thing. If they would have opened her up in the surgery 2 days ago, she would have died on the surgery board instantly as a result of this thing that she has. Understand? Yesh koach biyad mincha l'shanot et hateva. Mincha is the power to l'shanot hateva. But now, listen to another thing. When this doctor was busy promoting his surgery, what made this guy, they asked him later on, run to the Chazon Ish? It was a reckless thing to do. Munas Chachamim, the Tzadikim Yerushalayim also. Why did he run to the Chazon Ish? So he says he doesn't know. But he felt that the question that he had to ask the Chazon Ish. Why? Because one of the things the doctor told him is he believes the surgery will be successful, but he's warning him in advance she'll never be able to have kids again. The Chazon Ish never had kids his whole life. So he felt that to go to the Chazon Ish, she'll be more sensitive and sympathetic, and he'll give him a better bracha. That's why he went to the Chazon Ish. What's the end of the story? This lady had, after this son, 9 more children, all healthy, all Talmidei Chachamim living in Israel. And she died at 88 years old, b'seivat tova, mitat neshika, closing her eyes and parting from the world, going straight to Gan Eden. And her husband lived until 91, and he didn't have to spend 5 lirot. Yesh koach biyad mincha l'shanot hateva, Rabbeinu Bachai, remember those words. Koach hatfilah. And here I want to, not only for the kahal over here, which I'm sure is already doing this, it's davar pashut, but because I know there'll be many viewers that will hear this and listen to this afterwards, I want to come to you with a little bit of a eitzah. So for the men, I don't even have to speak about it, that's not the subject. But for the women, for some reason, the women in Am Yisrael think that prayer and them have nothing to do with each other. I'm a lady, I don't have to pray. Lady doesn't have to pray because she's busy with her kids and so therefore you have time to talk on the phone, you have time to watch YouTube clips, you have time to waste on WhatsApp, you have time if you're a goy to spend on Facebook, you have time to this, you have time for every stupidity in the world, time to talk on the phone, to get recipes, to do this, to do that. But mincha you don't have time for. How's that going to look on Rosh Hashanah? How's that going to look? If you really have no time for nothing, so no problem. But no time for nothing. But mincha, suddenly that's what we don't have time for. It's a big tviyah in shamayim, this thing. And I want to tell you from experience that I've seen many situations in the past, I'd say about 16 or 17 months that I'm pushing this, that girls or women took upon themselves to daven at least 2, preferably 3 times a day. And they went from the worst situations in their life to the best situations in a matter of months. And I take no credit for it. It's koach hatfilah, yesh koach l'shanot hateva, Rabbeinu Bachai says. The funniest part is, a lady could sit and read the whole Tehillim, but she doesn't have mincha. Get your priorities straight. Mincha comes before Tehillim. Get your priorities straight. Avid comes before Tehillim. Gat Shmaz Doraita comes before Tehillim. Get your priorities straight. And a lot of big Talmidei Chachamim, especially in America, they're less knowledgeable of this idea of maybe that women should pray because they have so much extra time to waste on so many other things. They hear this and they argued with me in the past months, and I had one story. I'm going to distort some facts just mishum kvodo, this person, because I love him a lot. He's a big Talmid Chacham. But a rabbi within the 100-mile radius, we'll say, who went on an open attack against me on this subject. He said in a shiur, one of his things that gets broadcasted, what is this? Young kids today, they come up with their own halachot, and they say that women should pray mincha. We never saw that by our mothers, we never saw that by our grandmothers. He forgot that his mother didn't have a washing machine either and had to go to the river to do laundry. So she didn't have time to daven mincha. Forgot that. What should we do? All right, went on a thing. Must have been this. That happened in the morning. He says a shiur by Shacharit. That's what he was busy with. After Shacharit, of course, today everything goes viral, right? So I got it immediately. Somebody sent it to me. I said, I'm the first to admit it was me he was talking about, and I'm proud of what I said, and I don't retract one bit. And Hashem should watch over him. He's a great guy. I love him dearly, and here he's wrong. That night, some crazy hour of the night, I was driving back from one of the hospitals I volunteer in, and I see this guy, this rabbi's phone number, showing up on my caller ID. Hashem should forgive me, but I wasn't so down with Kavskut at that moment. I figured, first in the morning he yelled at me over there, and now he wants to yell at me on the phone, because we're friends. I picked up waiting for a whole washdown. He doesn't even talk to me. He says, Yaakov, listen good. I need you right now to say that you forgive me b'mchilat murah for what I said this morning. Tomorrow I'm going to clearly say that I didn't mean it, and I was wrong, and I made a mistake, and I this, and I that. Right now! He's screaming on the phone. I said, I never had a kpeda on you. And this is we're Talmidei Chachamim, so we disagree in halacha. You see it one way, I see it another way. It's okay. It wasn't personal. I said, more than that. 50 years ago, I agree with you 100%. In halacha, you're right. Just today, because we waste so much time on other things. So this is not a personal agenda. What are you so... He says, you won't believe it. I said, what? He said, I came home, and I was eating breakfast with my wife and my daughters, and we were talking. And I mentioned this morning, I said against what you said yesterday, it was crazy. You start telling girls to pray mincha and aviv. Crazy stuff. What is this? That's not the way our mothers did it. That's not the way our grandmothers did it. He said, and that same, he says, a few hours ago, I left my house. I go to pray in the synagogue mincha, and then I give a shiur or whatever, and then there's avit, and then another daf yomi shiur. The person was a big marbitz Torah. He said, and exactly while I was in the middle of the amidah of mincha, one of my daughters and my wife were hit by a car. They're both in the hospital. And I don't doubt that it's a kpeidah from Shamayim because of what I said this morning. So I told him, I had never had a kpeidah on you. It's like, well, I'm not a tzaddik, so what my kpeidah is worth? It's a joke. I don't know why you're fantasizing things. But I'll give you an eitzah. If they're conscious, tell them to take upon themselves to start praying mincha. Baruch Hashem, they're both fine today, 100% healthy, until 120, they should live long, long lives. And today he's one of the biggest promoters of praying mincha. Now, again, I'm clear, just that we shouldn't have a misunderstanding. If a lady has a lot of kids and doesn't have time, and that's a different story. When somebody has 6 young ones at home, and she's, that comes first. But if there's time to be online, and there's time to chat with friends, and there's time to this, and there's time to waste on so many other stupidities, then there's also time to daven mincha. There's also time to pray. And prayer also won't kill you, by the way. Maybe not every single day, but once in a while. And just because you didn't do it yesterday doesn't mean you can't do it today. And I know Rav Ovadia has his discussions about what yes and what not, but that avera I'm willing to take on me, the girls praying mincha and avit against maybe what a little bit Rav Ovadia felt on the subject. Like Baruch Hu should help So we should be Mishanet Teva, because even though Derech Teva in court, when a person's guilty, he's guilty, and maybe the situation's not the best. But Choneinu v'aneinu ke'im banu asim aseinu on tzedakah v'chesed. Hashem should give us big tzedakah v'chesed Be'ez Hashem, and us together with the whole Am Yisrael, Yizochef, V'Shana Tova, K'divat Chatima Tova, a happy and healthy year. Baruch Hu should say, Dai L'Tzavoteinu. On a very personal level, I'll tell you what I pray every day for myself, in a selfish way, as Hashem should help the crises should have no more tzaras, and I should be able to go back to Koilo. Amen. Amen.